You are watching William Patterson University Television.
We all know how Pokemon works. You fight some Pokemon, catch them, and then cry when you forget to save your file because you're never going to catch that Mewtwo again and it's awful. But there have been some Pokemon games that have tried to shake up the formula. One in particular was a tactical RPG released in 2012 called Pokemon Conquest. Today, Spencer over here is going to try to explain why this Pokemon spin-off should be played over all the rest. So Spencer, I want to get your initial reactions first. Tell me why you love this game. Summarize it briefly.
So it's basically if you took Fire Emblem and gave all of the people Pokemon, and the art style absolutely is like just so great. The gameplay is so great. The replayability is there. There's like 37 different storylines you can play as. It's so immersive and it never gets old.
So let's go into the art style, because like Pokemon is like kind of known for this certain art style of like it's very cutesy, kid oriented. Does that change in this game?
Oh man, dude, they make Zubats look awesome.
That's impossible.
Dude,
you're a liar.
No, like
you're a liar. Is what that is.
Every image of every Pokemon looks so detailed and it has so much life to it, and it has its own style, and like it gives it character at the end of the day. And like just even like the ghost types like look like they're like shooting out of like, you know, like out of like the 2D scene and like into a 3D prospect, and just everything looks so well polished. It's just,
and like they have the human characters in there as well.
Yeah.
I mean like usually in Pokemon games the human characters are not very fleshed out. They're kind of just, hey, I saw you on the road. We have to fight now because I say so. This game is a crossover between, I guess, ancient feudal Japanese history and Pokemon. So
I know, it sounds
how do
crazy.
they represent those characters in it?
Like there's 18 different towns, I guess, kind of sort of, and there's like warlords who control them, but each one has like their own personality, and they're really fleshed out.
Like that one, like
that. She's like one of the main characters.
Okay.
And like just like the artwork, and like she's like so like well characterized and whatnot, and like all of these characters have like different emotions, and they feel like real characters, not like just, you know, just text like that I'm reading. I feel compelled.
You're actually, it's like a Fire Emblem game. You care about these people.
I care, yeah. Like, because like if it's a normal Pokemon game, for the most part, I don't like. It's a button masher.
I truly don't.
Like, you know? But like this, I care about. It's so like beautiful.
So let's go into some of the gameplay. Obviously, Pokemon kind of is already a tactical RPG to start with. Yeah. So what makes this style of the RPG different?
So it's
as we look at it behind us.
So
here.
it's a top-down, and you control one Pokemon at a time, but you could have 6 Pokemon on your team, so it's like a 6v6. And each Pokemon gets one move and one ability, and your warrior gets an ability. And it's kind of, like I said, it's kind of like Fire Emblem where you fight, and you know there's type matchups and type abilities, and there's also like terrain effects and whatnot. So it's like if you hit a rock or something, it might fall down and hit an opponent, or like chain reactions. It feels like you're playing like a live-action Pokemon almost, and like everything you do has meaning to it, and it's like you're not just throwing out moves, because you have to be tactical and think about like what you're going to do the turn after and the turn after that while you're planning out your first
So I
turn.
do have to ask though, do types and like, you know, the classic triangle of like water beats fire, fire beats grass, grass beats water, does that still exist in this type of game as well?
Yeah, so it's like it's even more prominent because each Pokemon only gets like one move of one type, and you can't change it. And that's really cool because it kind of goes, well, you know, while this Pokemon can only use a fire type move, this Pokemon can only use a fighting type move, stuff like that. And you really have to think of what 6 Pokemon you're bringing, what 6 moves you're really bringing to the game.
Yeah, you gotta kind of spread it out and hit every type as best as possible. Otherwise, you're gonna get really screwed in the end of the game. So I wanted to ask you about the replayability. You mentioned the multitude of campaigns. I don't think I've ever heard of a game with that many campaigns to go through. Bring me through kind of what it is.
So how it works is you play for the first, I would say, about 8-9 hours, right? And that's just like the base game. And the base game's a lot of fun, but there are 36 separate storylines where you can play as all these different warlords and people. And when you do this, it's like sometimes they're just like, you know, based like unite all of like the continent together. Or some of them can just be like, okay, collect 100 Pokemon, different types of Pokemon. Or it just never feels old. I clocked 300 hours into this game since high school. It's such like I picked this game up and I go, why did I ever put this game down in the first place?
So you're playing this game as much as people play like Civ or Team Fortress 2 or some of the classics that we talk about. But you're playing a DS game for this many hours. So I do have to ask one thing we glossed over when we talk about gameplay. How do you capture Pokemon? We never really went over that.
There's something called a link system in it. And if you go up to like, there's like little areas in each town that you go to, and then like if the Pokemon's like free and doesn't have a leader on it, you can link with them, and it depends like if the leader is like, oh, a fighting type based, he'll link better with fighting type Pokemon or stuff like that. But it's just a lot about like you have to realize like who has the best links with each other. Some will link up to 100%, but only some will link to 40%. So you really have to figure out like, which one is the best. And if you want,
So one last question.
Yes.
We were talking earlier, and you called this game a diamond in the rough.
It is.
Now, we were doing some of the research on this game because I had heard about it but never actually played it. We found out, I mean, if you look at here, I mean, there's only one rating under 80, and it's still above 75.
Yeah.
So if it was rated so well and everyone loved it, what happened?
So I have talked to every person that I talk to about spin-off games. They always say, "Oh, Pokemon Snap's the best. Pokemon Stadium's the best. Coliseum, XD, these games that are such in the forefront on these big consoles." But they always brush aside the DS games, and this is one of those that gets brushed away as well, just because it's not a console game. You know what I mean? It's not like a full-length, kind of like Pokemon style, like battling. It's this not awkward, but like it's this different type of Fire Emblem game. But it's done so well and so great that but people just gloss over it all the time. But if you have heard of it, you'll find someone and you'll know, they'll be like, that is such a great game.
It's one of those games where if you find someone who likes RPG games or the Fire Emblem games,
I'm a big RPG person.
Advanced Wars, Dynasty Warriors, that style of stuff, they're gonna fall in love with this.
Yes.
And I mean, it looks like people did.
Yeah.
And it sold over 1 million copies. I think we talked about before, it suffered because it released a week after Black and White 2.
Yeah.
So
when you do
really
that to a
just
main
didn't have a
series, yeah.
chance. It's a main series game against this kind of spin-off game, and it's unfortunate because like when we were looking at this game, and I was just watching the videos and everything. It looks truly interesting.
It's beautiful too. It's like
wonderful to look at, and all the towns look different, and the famous characters.
Yeah, like each one has their own detail to it, like I said before, and it feels like you're playing, like you have emotions and you care about these people and like what they do. So.
Well, unfortunately, that is all the time we have to talk about Pokemon Conquest. We'll play it later, and I'll see if I can ever break your 300 hours. Probably not, but I'll try to get close. Yeah. Thank you for joining me, Spencer. No problem. And thank you for tuning in to another episode of Press Start. If you want more Press Start, follow us on social media at PressStartWP and subscribe right here on YouTube. Thank you to all the cast and crew here at Press Start and WP TV, and we will see you next week for April Fool's Day right here on Press Start. See you then. Oh, take